Hi, guys. Welcome to Living Your Best Life. I'm Marlene. I'm your host for the program today. And it's Sunday, January the 17th, 2021. And it's time for Sunday Talks, where we give encouraging, positive, motivating stories of people's journeys in their life where they feel free to express themselves. And hopefully, it's going to give some encouragement to you all, to boost you up, to make you know that other people struggle. Other people have problems just like you do, but their stories will inspire you. And today will be no different. I have a special guest today, and it is Artfully Blind with Diana. So we welcome her to the Sunday Talks program, and I'm going to get started with the Best Life Crew theme song. Welcome, guys.
Be encouraged, be inspired, be yourself, you will survive. Just know it, just breathe it, and be it, and live your best life.
So welcome, guys. Welcome to Sunday Talks. Let me just start off by putting up my banner. Today's topic is the inspirational story of Diana's blindness. And like and share the stream. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. I've dropped my Cash App. And if you want to become a member of the channel, join membership today. So I'm going to see who is in the comment section and also my members. Thank you to my members, Boss Life Online and Bozo Calvin Jr. So let's see who's in the comment section. Okay. Now let's see who's in the comments. Hey, Boss Life Online, Miss Full Roller. I am content primping it easy. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Sunday Talks. Thanks so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be here. I appreciate you so much. So welcome to the stream. Like, share, subscribe, all of that stuff. Today is going to be our inspirational guest, Artfully Blind with Diana. She has a YouTube channel, and I'm going to invite her up, and I'm going to let her tell you about, her channel, her social media. So let's invite up our guest today, Diana. We welcome her to the Sunday Talks.
Hello, everyone. Hello.
Hi.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. Welcome to Sunday Talks.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So first of all, I want those who don't know you or your channel, tell them about your channel, what you do on there, and your other social media sites.
I basically have an art channel. For the past 5 years, actually, and art tutorials and time lapses and speed paints, because I basically do all different kinds of painting, mixed media painting, acrylic painting, iPad digital painting, but also art journaling and mixed media collage. So I do a wide range of things. I call myself a multimedia artist.
Mm-hmm. And when did you start here on YouTube, Diana?
Well, I've been on here for 5 years.
5 years. Okay.
Yeah, I've been posting content for 5 years.
Right. And is this something that you do as a hobby? Is it your business or a little?
Oh, I started this when I was working full time, when I was still teaching full time as an art educator at the elementary school level in the inner city, and I started this for 2 years before I was able to retire, and I started it as a hobby, and I really love making videos. And that's how I started it. And I consider it more of a part-time job, hobby / part-time job.
Okay. So to let everybody know, because we're sharing your inspirational story of your blindness, first of all, let everyone know what it is you are. Because a lot of people don't understand the difference in the blind community. So kind of explain what it is that you have.
Oh, well, I was born with an extremely rare retinal disease where both my parents, in order to get this extremely rare retinal disease, both parents have to have recessive genes. So that makes it extremely rare. The good news, it does not lead to total blindness. There's many retinal diseases that do, but I'm very fortunate this will not lead to total blindness. And so I was born with it, but I even have the more rare kind where it did not show up in childhood. For most people, it would show up in childhood. It's called cone dystrophy, where it knocks out the really much of the ability of your cones to function. You have rods and cones, but this is only called cone dystrophy. There is rod cone dystrophy, but mine is just cone dystrophy, and it knocks out your ability for your central vision. But instead of getting it in childhood, I have the more rare form that it didn't show up until my early 40s. And so I'm very grateful for that I led a life of normal vision. I had completely normal vision. There was no kinds of signs that this was ever going to happen, like nothing. I didn't even wear glasses until my 30s, and I would only wear glasses for driving.
Okay. So you said it was in your 30s when it started?
No. Well, oh yeah. Well, okay. Well, in my early 30s, I was only when I had to only start wearing glasses just for driving, but still there was no sign that you had a retinal. I did not know that I had a retinal disease until my mid 30s, where I was being tested. They could not, starting in my mid 30s, they could not correct my vision to 20/20, but they didn't know why. So 5 years passed where they could not correct my vision to 20/20, and they didn't know why. And they would give me all these kind of tests, and they didn't know what was going on. I kept driving and everything, and I didn't know anything that was going. I didn't even still, they didn't know if I had a retinal disease or anything. And then it was in my early 40s that I developed another symptom of where a blind spot in my central vision, and then they were able to diagnose me with cone dystrophy.
Wow. Primping Ain't Easy said, "Oh wow." So how did that change the course of your life, Diana?
Yeah. Well, see, I had driven. I got my license when I was 16, but nobody was going to give me a car, and I didn't have money to get a car. So I started driving when I was 25. And I drove from age 25 till my early 40s. And that turns your life upside down when you have to stop driving. And I was working with a therapist at the time. And she said, the statistics are especially a lot of elderly people, when they're told to stop driving, they don't stop driving until they hurt themselves or somebody else. Because it depends what state you live in. The DMV does not revoke your license. With the state that I live in, the DMV didn't revoke my license. I continue. What? No, it just depends what state you live in. So I continue at the state that I live in. I do not need to take a vision test every year, even. So I do keep it as ID, like state ID. I keep it as state ID, and because they do not require a vision test. But
that's surprising, Diana. That's very surprising.
I know, isn't it?
That they don't require, I would think for driving, they would require a vision test
I guess it's just more work for them. I mean, I don't know why wouldn't they? That's a very important thing. You would think that, especially what about for elderly people that do start losing their vision? I don't know. They should have a vision test. Every state should have a vision test.
Well, here in Florida, after a certain age, like if you have different disabilities, I think at the age of 65 here, they require you to retake your test to make sure that you're still able to drive.
Oh, I see, a driving test.
Yeah, but that's something to think about. Like, I don't understand why they wouldn't require
First
not
of all,
having.
why don't they revoke why doesn't the DMV revoke my license? And why does my state require a vision test?
I think that's a good question to ask them.
Anyway, if I can't, I just use it for state ID. Of course, I do not continue driving. I did for a while until one of my eye doctors gave me a scare story saying, if you're not supposed to. I was in the beginning when I was first diagnosed, my doctors didn't come out and tell me, you need to stop driving, you're legally blind. They didn't come out and tell me that point blank. I found out about it roundabout by asking different things. It was very weird. It was so strange, even though even though I went to a very big eye hospital in a big city, a big city eye hospital where there's and so they said that one eye doctor said, no, I said, oh, this monocular lens that will help me read signs, that's going to be good for when I'm driving, I'm reading signs. And she goes, no, you're not supposed to be driving right now. And I think that was 2 doctors had to tell me that. I don't know if it was being in denial and them not telling me point blank, like right away. So right away, I was driving, and then she told me that I had a client that did continue driving, and when she got in an accident, she was sued for everything. So everything,
Wow.
and that did scare me. And then I realized I do need to stop driving. So and then I was working with a therapist at the time, and she put me on a 6-month withdrawal driving plan.
Wow.
Yeah. So the first month I picked the easiest place to stop driving to, which was the shopping mall, because I could do shopping online. That was the easiest place. Then the next month it was, I don't know, grocery shopping, because then I could either go to the grocery store that was down the street by bicycle or walking, or I could order my groceries and have them delivered. And then third, fourth, and I can't remember the other months. And then finally in the 6th month, the hardest place to stop driving to was my workplace.
Wow. That's a major difference. I see that Miss Full Roller Sarah says that in Germany, after a certain age, they have a vision test and retake the driving test every year.
Yeah.
That's kind of but so you're saying that, so you think part of it with your driving was that you were in denial. You didn't believe that you didn't accept it, or what do you think was the reason why?
Well, see, here's what happened. Like, I was on the phone with my doctor one time, and he said, with your level of legal blindness, I'm like, what? I'm legally blind? I was on the phone with him asking him a question about something. I don't remember what it was. And he says, with your level of legal blindness, I'm like, I'm legally blind? So that was the first heads up. Then another heads up was I was about to move to I was considered moving to another state because of my ex-fiance. And I asked my doctor, well, how could I pass a vision test in another state? He goes, you're not supposed to be driving. I'm like,
oh my
okay. So that was the second time. And then a third time was the doctor who gave me the horror story about, no, they can sue you for everything you're worth. You're not supposed to be driving right now. And it's a combination of them just not really being straightforward, and then me maybe being in denial or something.
Yeah, I kind of feel like that may be like a combination, especially if they did not inform you. It's a whole different thing if they had informed you, you're legally blind now, and then for you to, maybe if you didn't want to accept it, then that would be different. But if they didn't even tell you until you were talking on the phone, that's very shocking. That's very shocking.
With your level of legal blindness, I'm like, what? I'm legally blind? And so, and confused, like, well, the DMV doesn't revoke my license or something. And I don't know, it was confusing until I was working. And then I was working with a therapist, and she helped me a lot. And then I knew eventually, like, okay, I do need to stop. Well, then when I finally knew, okay, you really need to stop driving, I'm like, I don't want to stop driving. I don't want to. And then that's when my therapist told me, well, the statistics are that a lot of people, actually most, do not stop driving until they hurt themselves or somebody else.
Wow. Yeah, because especially I can just speak on Florida because that's where I live, but I know that after most of the time they don't do anything to the older people who are driving until they get into a major car accident. And
See, when
I'm
you live
like,
in a state where there's
that's not
what's
the
the
time.
percentage of senior citizens? It's a big percentage.
Yeah. So
And
that's why
you're
I'm
saying
always
they don't
afraid.
do anything until what?
Mm-mm. That's why they're trying to change the law. They just invoked that maybe like 2 years ago that now after the 65 they have to get their driving test again now. So that's something
That's
new that
something.
they weren't doing before. But I mean, before it was nothing all these years.
See, because we live in such a car culture, as opposed to, like, say, suppose if you live in New York City, there's tons of people that get around on public transportation. If you live in the suburbs or in the country, forget it. You are so dependent on your car.
Yeah, because there's certain places that a bus doesn't reach. They only go to a certain point.
No, there isn't. In the suburbs and in the country is the worst. In the rural areas, it's the worst of hardly any public transportation. But I lived in the suburbs, and there was public transportation to most places, but not well, most places. Just every now and then there was not something I couldn't get to, but for the most part there was. And
yeah, I feel like that's something that maybe you could become an advocate for, Diana. So stepping in to do something like some programs or something for people. What about people who are older who don't have anybody around to take them? Like, what happens to those people? Do they have to come out of their pocket? First of all, you tell them they can't drive. Now that there's no kind of transportation for them, I kind of always think about the people who fall through the cracks, you know?
Well, the people, I mean, that's two different stories. But for the people that, first of all, for the people that don't fall through the cracks, they know that, okay, they're going to either have to go to a senior living place where that is, everything is there. Like, or so in my case, I lived in a town, I was already living in an apartment. Happened with my normal vision. I was already living in an apartment there, and where everything was within walking or bicycling distance, like the bank, the post office, a small medium grocery store, a dentist, the doctor. Everything you could need was actually within. It was one of the few places, because I did research after the fact, like, is there other towns like this besides going into the big city? Is there other towns around here? Well, not many were like that. So then when I bought a house as a single person, I bought the second house that I looked at because I was so limited, and it actually gave me everything. The second house already actually gave me everything I was looking for. The only compromise I had to make was just paying more than I originally wanted to, but it wasn't really totally out of my price range. I was able to afford it, but it was just originally a little bit more than I wanted. But the second house I looked at had everything I was looking for, and I was within walking distance of the train station and still living in the same town that had everything within walking or bicycling distance too. So as well, an elderly person, I don't know, but as somebody who's single and working, that worked out for me. For elderly people that, a lot of them may be still married, so that then they're gonna not have so much problem. Then if they're not married, then they have to make adjustments in their life. And maybe that's hard because they're older. I mean, still, I was in my 40s, and that was still hard. I had driven for almost between 15 and 20 years of my life.
Right.
That was still an adjustment for me to have to make. But even if you're an elderly person, there are resources like the blind. I'm connected with the Blind Association for my county, and they do help you a lot. They try to get you in touch with all the kind of resources that you might need.
Well, that's good, because I'm sure that maybe somebody who may watch this video on the replay,
Yeah.
who's searching for like some resources, because it's so important to have resources, because sometimes there's just things that you may not know. So for those who may want to reach out to you, do you have a Instagram or an email that they may
Yes.
be able to reach out to you?
They can, well, oh yes, they can contact me. I do have email listed on my about page of my YouTube channel, or I'm Artfully Blind with Diana on Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. I don't look at Twitter that much. But they can contact me either. Well, Instagram, that's kind of iffy, because then they say, "Do you want?" See, if it's somebody I don't know, then I'm like, I don't know. Should I? Well, it depends what their message says, whether I would want to.
Right. It
Okay,
depends on
so
if they're
email or
kind of
Instagram.
strange or not.
Yeah, email or Instagram. If they could put in the subject line that they had seen this live stream, especially,
Right.
would be helpful. Because otherwise, you're not. They tell you even not to open emails that you don't even know. It's a smaller risk than clicking on a link. They definitely say don't click on certain links in your email. Right. But then there is just a smaller percentage of risk for even opening an email for people that you don't know of. So I just prefer in the subject line if they put something that they had seen this live stream.
Right. So you're part of so for work, let's go into that now. With your blindness, you're still able to work.
No, I the last I taught for 25 years in the public schools, in the public school district, where I taught art I was an art educator at the elementary school level, and I started with normal vision. Then in the last 15 years of my career, which was a 25-year career, the last 15 years of my career, that's when I was legally blind. And then my administrators and my colleagues all knew. So I reported it to my administrators, and they all knew. And because I don't have to walk with a cane, that's the other thing. Like, blindness is on a spectrum. You're not, if you're blind, that doesn't mean you're 100% blind. In fact, in the blind population, only 10% of the blind population is blind. Only 10%, totally blind. Only 10%. Blindness is on a spectrum. That, Diana. What?
I said I did not know that, and I think a lot of people do not know that. I think
a lot of people don't know that.
The majority of people think a person is only blind when they walk with a cane.
Yeah, so I do not have to walk with a white cane or the dog. I don't need that. I don't have mobility issues. I cannot read signs, and at a distance I can't really see people's faces that good, but I can see there's a person there, but I can't see the features of their face. But I don't bump into things. I don't have mobility issues. I can't see like I said, I can't see signs, but when I'm walking, but I don't. Blindness is on a spectrum, and what I have is I'm high functioning low vision. So I'm technically legally blind. Legal blindness starts at 2200 vision. So I'm technically legally blind, but that's also called low vision, and I'm high functioning low vision. So because I don't know what the situation would have been if I was trying to teach and I was telling them right from the start that I can't see, but I don't know what it was that I was able to continue my job. They didn't question it. I was able to keep doing what I do for the last 15 years of my career with this vision disability. I was able, it's like, so if kids showed me their artwork from across the room, no, I can't see it. So they have to show it. I can see kids across the room. I can see the kids across. I can see what they're doing. I can't see their facial feature, but I can see limbs moving. I can see things, big things. I can see things that are going on that are across the room. I can see the limbs moving and things like that.
So I have a question for you, Diana. Have you experienced any kind of discrimination or some kind of bad treatment because of your status being legally blind? Have people treated you differently or inferiorly because of it?
In the workplace?
And just in general,
Well,
when people find
uh,
out, do they treat you differently?
anyway, I after 25 years I did retire from teaching, and that was what I needed. I needed the 25 years of service, and I needed the certain age, and I had both at the same time before they drastically changed my work situation. They were going to take away the art room and make you go room from room to room, which I had done before, but I didn't want to do it again. And I had the age and I had the years to get the benefits that I needed. So my husband and I both agreed, like, it was okay. It was time. I mean, it would be okay for me to retire.
Wow.
I had the 25 years of service and the age that they required.
Wow.
Okay, but discrimination. I can't see. I can't think of that right now. But I've heard stories. I've heard stories of some of my friends in the YouTube blind community where she's already blind and she wants to try to get some kind of like being a teacher aide, and there's like saying, well, we don't know if you'd be able to handle the kids with your level of blindness. And so she's trying to go in as a blind person. See, I went in with normal vision.
Okay.
And no, I did not get discriminated against. My employers did not discriminate against me. I completed the last 15 years of my career. So
Yeah, well, that's you're very inspirational, Diana, because a lot of people, given those circumstances, would just say, I have blindness. I'm just going to just
No.
stay home now and
no, are you kidding? This is
give
what
up.
happened. I looked into getting disability. I said, well, I would qualify to be on disability income and just live on disability income. Well, I would have to give up my house. I was owning a house as a single person.
Mhm.
I would not have been able on the disability income. I would not be able to afford living in my own in a house. And I'm not sure. And I wasn't with that income. That would be such a drastic cut in the income that I had, because I actually in the state that I taught in was not the same state that I lived in. I actually taught in one state and lived in the neighboring state. The state that I taught in is in the top five highest paid teachers in the country. I'm in one of the states that was in the top five highest paid teachers in the country. So I had a really decent salary, and I would have taken drastic cut to, I'm not even sure what kind of apartment I could have afforded. I guess I could have. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I would have had to share an apartment at the income that they were saying that I would get. I'm not sure if I would even have to, if I could have lived independent. And that was one of my dreams as a kid. Like, I didn't dream like, oh, I want to be well, yeah, I did want to be an artist starting in my teens, but one of my dreams, and my father actually instilled in me, was he gave me all the education I could ever want, because he instilled in me to be an financially independent woman. So he did not want me to have to depend on a man to be able to live financially. To be able to live. He instilled that in me and gave me all the education I could ever want to make that happen. So for this coming along where you're going to slash my income, and then I might not even be able to be financially independent. I don't know how financially independent I could be. It wasn't an option, and luckily my employer didn't make any fuss. They didn't say they didn't discriminate against me, and they didn't even make, like, things just went on as normal. I'm very fortunate.
Yeah, because there's a lot of people who would get, like, they would find some kind of excuse to let them go. I'm sure that happens.
I'm very grateful.
Yeah. So, Diana, do you have children?
No, I don't know. I don't know. I have biological children, and my husband, he has a son that just visits us on a regular basis from time to time on a regular basis. And so, but I do not have biological children.
Okay. And at what point in your life did you meet your husband, when you were Yeah.
Later in life after after my vision loss.
Okay.
I met him then, and yes, I actually I got married later in life, not because I didn't want to get married earlier. I did, but I never met the right person at the right time.
Mhm.
So actually, I did not get married till age 48.
Wow. The reason why I bring that topic up is I want to show all the viewers that you can have a normal life no matter what you're going through, no matter what circumstances. You can get married, you can have your education, you can, I think a lot of times people put labels on people and say when a person has a disability or some kind of, issue that they're less and they can't do things, and they kind of paint them in a bad light. So I want to show that you led a normal life. You went to school, you got your education, and you never gave up in your struggle.
Okay, so yeah, most of two of the college degrees that I had, I did get with normal vision. It was my third. Actually, I have a bachelor's degree and 2 master's degrees. So my first master's degree was in art education, and I got that when I had normal vision, and it was my second master's degree, which is MFA, Master's in Fine Arts, that I got when with my vision after my vision loss. Yeah, and
Okay, so can you explain to us how that was different for you when you got your second master's degree? How was that different from the first time, like going to school now? How did things change for you in your learning process?
yeah, well, it did not. That MFA required 4 summers of attending 6-week sessions for 4 summers. So I did not go throughout the year, but I had to do artwork throughout the year for the program because it was a master's in fine art. So I had an art studio in the city at the time, which was very good. That was very helpful for me for doing the work that I needed to do. And well, reading the things like if I look back and said, oh, if I had that vision loss back then, I would never be able to see the board. It would be okay, but that was not an issue. So I would just let teachers know. I would let the professors know, like that I have a vision disability. And if you say I have a vision disability, they kind of don't know what it is. That's different than saying I'm legally blind. Mm-hmm. Like people think of it 2 different ways. If you say I have a vision disability, they don't quite know what that might mean, as opposed to saying I'm legally blind. So I use those. See, depending on what situation I'm in, I would interchangeably use those words, but I would just let my professors know. And most of the time, if I couldn't see something, then like if they were projecting some kind of thing, but then I would let them know. And maybe most of the stuff that if they did project something, they like on a projection screen, everything was usually in writing in a packet. But a lot of that degree didn't depend on too much reading. I mean, I did some reading, probably not as much as maybe I could have done, but it did involve a lot of writing, and writing was not a problem for me. Reading is more of a problem. I have to use my magnifying glass and other kinds of assistive technology for reading. Like on an iPad, I can zoom things up, and that's very easy. On a laptop, I don't really like the the zoom feature, like the voiceover something else. Zoom features zooms things up so big that it gets disorienting. So I really like my iPad. I depend on that a lot because you can zoom things up and you can hold things up to your face and you can zoom things up. So I live on my iPad. And I only use my laptop when I have to for certain things. And I didn't see that so much as too much of a big deal for for that degree because it involves so much of just doing artwork, a lot of artwork that you have to do. And as opposed to earlier degrees, if like my bachelor's degree, that would have been a really, if I had had my vision loss as a in my trying to get my bachelor's degree where you have to constantly see the board, see the, that would have been a bigger problem. And I do know somebody that who, like she runs she's the counselor in the blind association in my county. And her vision loss did happen when she was in college. And she did have to, like, I think she is totally blind. She did go totally blind and she still completed college.
Okay, we have that's a very insightful, Diana, that I think sometimes when you have some like normal vision or things are normal for you, you really don't think, what others may be going through. That's why it's so important to have enlightenment and discussions such as these. Primping Ain't Easy asked, I was just about to ask, what gadgets does she use that she finds helpful?
Yeah, she has voiceover on. I don't know if she has some special device that has voiceover or it's just her iPhone. See, Apple products have a lot of those features built in. So she does use voiceover a lot, and I don't know if I hear her using voiceover a lot. Like, so everything is, and it's really fast talking. Like you can speed up or slow down the talking of the voiceover. That and that's about the voiceovers. And she has a dog. You can choose to have a cane, a white cane, or a dog. And for me, that I don't have mobility issues, so I don't even have to choose one of those. The voiceover technology is the one that I know that she uses the most, but I'm not so familiar. I don't know everything that she does. So
right. And so about how long now have you had your visual impairment for? 15 years now?
Let's see. Yeah, it's around 15 years.
Right. And so I just want to ask on behalf of the audience, what is something that you would want other people to know about the those who have visual impairments? Because I think sometimes people don't know certain things. Like, what would you want to tell them?
I always like to I always need to educate people, and I really want them to know that blindness is on a spectrum. It's not that you're 100% blind or or you can see 100%. It's not one or the other. So 10% of the blind population is totally blind. It's only 10% of the blind population. I really want people to understand that blindness is on a spectrum, and blindness can be experienced in so many different ways. So I'm high functioning, low vision, and I don't need a white cane or a dog. I don't have mobility issues. I can't see signs. Like when I'm walking down the street, I can't see signs, but I don't bump into people and stuff like that. And I can, that's the main thing, because that's the thing that a lot of people don't know, that blindness is on a spectrum.
Yeah. I did not know that until you told me that. I think a lot of times people go by what they see, like things that they see on TV, and the way that, people who have a visual impairments are always portrayed as completely blind.
And I wouldn't have known that either. I mean, like I lived with normal vision most of my life. I mean, like until my early 40s, I would have to say, even though I could still keep driving from age 35 to 40 because they didn't know what I had, and I hadn't developed the last symptom. So I'll say till my early 40s that I had normal vision. I mean, I didn't even have to wear glasses except for maybe for driving. So I know what it's like on both sides of the fence. And back then, when I probably thought the same thing, like, oh, if you're blind, you can't see at all. And I probably thought the same thing because there was nobody in my family, even though this is hereditary, whoever had it, like, must have been very past generations that I don't even know. I don't know who they are because nobody in my immediate family has this, even though this is genetic and it's hereditary. So, no, there was no blindness in my family, and
Yeah.
I would have thought the same thing that other people thought, and so blindness is on a spectrum, and
Yeah. I think that it's important to have conversations like this because I believe that it's important to hear from the source, hear from somebody who has it, instead of making judgments or following what you see on TV or what you read on the internet. It's always to hear it from a source, a person who is living with it every day. So thank you for sharing this with everybody. I'm so glad that you're able to share this with us, and we really appreciate your inspirational story of, you're continuing to fight for the visual impairment community.
Yes, we do have on my channel, like, co-host with Paul's Blind Soup for the Soul. He's a channel too. That's the name of his channel, and it was his idea and he couldn't work out the technology. He's more blind than I am. He has more vision loss than I am, and he's not able to operate StreamYard right now, even though he could learn it. It is possible for blind people to learn StreamYard. It just takes some effort, and we host it on my channel because it's easier for me to navigate StreamYard. And the first Sunday of every month at 12 noon p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the first Sunday of every month, we co-host a live stream event for the YouTube blind community, where we have usually a topic of discussion, but it's open to the general public, because we can always, we don't stick to our topic of discussion. We can always open it up, and we invite people from the chat to come up on the panel.
Wow. That's so good. You're doing amazing work here on YouTube. You're inspiring people. You're a source of encouragement to so many people.
Thank you.
I appreciate what you're doing.
Okay. Thank you.
And Boss Life Online says this is so inspiring.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Gio.
Yes. So, you're saying that in your family, nobody else that you know of has this. Is something that it just happened to you. You weren't expecting. It's not like you saw somebody in your family have it and you kind of was expecting it. It just happened to you.
Not in this case, even though that is the case in other families, where there'll be multiple people in the family that have like a hereditary vision disease. I don't know, because it's not always the retina, but hereditary blindness. Like, I have seen that in the blind community, but in my case, no. It is hereditary. It is genetic. Both my parents had to have recessive genes to give this to me, and so it did exist in the past generations that I don't know of, and before cars existed. So then, was that even a problem if they were a horse and buggy? I don't even know if that would present much of a problem.
Right.
So when it did, it's not showing up in my immediate family with anybody except for me, and so.
Yeah, but still, even though it didn't show up in your family, the way that you coped with it, you just did it. Like you said, you found the house close to where you needed to. You just learned to adapt.
I guess if I was more blind than I am, it would be a bigger adjustment. if I was to be totally blind, that's different than what I am right now. Being totally blind would be, it would be very difficult, especially as a visual artist. That would be very difficult, and that would be a different thing to deal with. And I'm grateful for the even though I'm considered legally blind, I'm grateful for the vision that I do have, because I'm high functioning low vision person. I mean, I have high functioning low vision, and I'm grateful. And sometimes I feel like, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like, am I really blind? But I mean, I know I am. But when I look at other people in the YouTube blind community, I'm like, oh goodness, I don't know. I deal with different things that, I mean, I don't deal with some of the more severe things that they have to deal with.
Mhm.
But
Yeah,
it could have been different. It could have been like it could have been a totally different scenario. Like my employer, when they knew, my administrators knew, and wow, I mean, how grateful am I for that? It didn't create a problem.
right.
It didn't create an upheaval in my employment situation.
Mhm.
Because
Yeah,
that might have happened, but I'm very grateful it didn't. And
right. I'm grateful that it didn't, and I'm so glad that where you lived, they did not discriminate against you and treat you inferiorly. But there's so much people out there who have not had the same type of opportunities that you have had. Like you said, with your friend, she's trying to find a job, working as a blind person. So
yeah,
people will discriminate. I can only share from not my experience, but my sister, because I have a sister who has special needs. And
mm,
I see that the way that they treat my sister, like you look at her, but she does not have where you can see that a person she's mentally retarded, but just like slower. So if you look at her, you say, there's nothing wrong with her. Like, why is she getting assistance, and why is she getting that? But you don't know the things that somebody else goes through. Everybody has their own struggles, their own problems. So that's why it's so important, and why I like to use my channel as an outlet to show people that don't assume things, don't think you know things, find out from the source, get
yeah.
educated, get
That's
educated.
what I say. Because my disability is almost like an invisible disability, unless you watched me read. If you watch me try to read, then you say, okay, well, that person I think has a problem. Because I have to use my magnifying glass, or if I even use my regular glasses, I still have to hold whatever I'm reading up to, like, right to my face. So, and then if, I'm seeing things like if when I was at a teacher's meeting and they're going to show like a projection on the screen, I'm like, I can't see that.
Yeah.
And even like at the computer, like sometimes when they do things at a teacher's meeting, they would do things at the computer and you'd be like this far from the desktop. I'd have to buddy up with somebody. I'm like, I can't even see it like this. If I have to see something on the computer without accessibility features, I have to like get like 1 inch from it.
Right. That was a question that I had for you, Diana. I was going to ask, so you being a YouTuber, with what you do with your art on your channel, how do you set up, things? Is it different from the way, say, like I would set up, just put a camera? Do you have to have special features or special things that you use to have your YouTube channel to facilitate your visual impairment?
For doing for me just doing my artwork, it is a struggle for not being, my head can sometimes get in the camera, and I have the same problem if I'm making a video. I can edit that out, but sometimes I need to want to get close up and do some artwork and close up in my head, and so on a live stream my head will get in the way of the camera, and that I'm aware of that, so I try to avoid that, and it's a struggle because I'll be like, I keep my head away from the camera and I'm trying to do what I'm doing, and then later on I'll check it and I'll say like, okay, how does that look, because I didn't quite see, like I'm sitting up and I'm trying to paint something a little bit more detailed. Sometimes I think on YouTube I should just change everything I'm doing and like make big expressive paintings. Like I mean I'm limited on the size because I'm really, my art space is really small right now, but expressive paintings where there isn't a lot of detail, and I'm thinking like maybe I should make more I should make more art like that. And but the only, see, I was doing channel reviews and shout outs for a while, for maybe almost a year, and for the month of January I'm taking off from doing that, and I kind of think I might not go back to doing that because I want to focus just on art, and when I do live streams, just do art live streams. So but channel reviews was a struggle for, because I don't have my accessibility features set up on my laptop. And
Diana, can you explain what is that accessibility features?
Accessibility features, where it could be Zoom, where you zoom something up where it's bigger, like on a computer, or I mean on a laptop, or I'm talking about, well, desktop also, laptop, or on an iPad, you can zoom things up. Like it's easier on the iPad because everything is touch screen, but on the laptop you have to know what keys to press, which I'm not so familiar. So I'm not in touch with my accessibility features on the laptop, what keys I'm supposed to press to zoom things up. And then there's also voiceover. So if I'm live streaming, that's very distracting to hear a voiceover going on.
Right.
Where there's a reader actually reading something to you. So instead I would crane over the laptop for when I do channel reviews and look with my magnifying glass or something, or my glasses that are highly magnified, but I still have, it's just like using my magnifying glass. It doesn't give me any distance and I have to look really close. And you can see, like, all of a sudden my eye looks really big in the magnifying glass because I'm getting real close up to the screen. And I'm like, oh my goodness, that's horrifying. But people are used to it. They go like, we know she has a vision disability. So that's what she does. And because I have to do that, get 1 inch from my screen, because I'm not using the accessibility features of Zoom, or VoiceOver.
Right. All of these things, you can look at somebody, you can go to their channel, and I had no idea that's what you were experiencing and going through. So that just makes me like your channel more and appreciate more what you do, Diana, because me, a person, like, it's simple for me. I just turn on my laptop and press go live. So it makes me appreciate what I have a little bit more, and respect you a little more too, Diana, because I can't imagine. I can't imagine that.
That's partly why I changed my name. So when I first started 5 years ago, I was Artfully Yours with Diana, and I kept that name. And I forget even how I came up with that name, but I kept that for many years. And then just in the past 3 or 4 months, I changed my name to Artfully Blind with Diana, so that maybe people wouldn't wonder, like, why is she, when she does a channel review, why does she get up so close to the screen like that? Why is it? And I thought that would help. It helps. It's more descriptive of who I am. Say Artfully Blind with Diana is more descriptive of who I am, and in case, but they might not, even then I might have to explain things.
Well, I feel when you did your channel name change, I said that is so good, because I feel like now you're going to get more people of your target audience coming to your channel.
Well, my target, I don't know. I have more people from the YouTube blind community. I think they feel more comfortable coming to my channel or something, maybe, because my target audience, I'm not good at, I don't know exactly my target audience.
Yeah, when I say your target audience, I just mean that now you're going to get more people who are probably looking for someone with visual impairments, and now they found another person with visual impairment. So I think that that's very
Mhm.
good, and I'm glad that you did that. And I like what Ruth says of you can talk your way to healthier relationships. Yes, people make too many assumptions just based on how people look. You know, like people do to my sister. Like when I'll be in the store,
Mhm.
I'm helping her to get something, and then they'll be like they'll say to me like, "Why don't you give her some room to do what she's trying to do?" But they don't understand that she doesn't know how to do certain things and that I have to help her because my sister's mental age is 9 years old, even though she's in her 50s. But,
Mhm.
but I feel like that's not important. Like, I don't have to explain that to every person who, you know what I'm trying to say. People just make assumptions and think things should be a certain way. If a person's an adult, give them their space and let them do it. So
Yeah,
it's
like
kind,
people
it's
think
kind of
like blind people are a certain way. All blind people, they walk with a cane or a dog and they can't see at all. And so I'm here to educate them that no, their blindness is on a spectrum. And so people, like if I go into a store, like maybe I go to used to go to the vitamin store, I'd say, I have a vision disability. Can you please help me find this list of vitamins? And they have no problem with it but a lot of times people just, I know they would look at, you can't tell by looking at me that I have a vision disability unless you're watching me read something.
right. And people make assumptions based on what they think, that like in their mind what they think blindness is, and they'll look at you and say, "Oh, she's not blind." You know, people will make that assumption, and it's not right and it's not fair. I go through that all the time. I've gotten into quite a few scuffles with people over my sister. Like, you need to get some education on things.
Well,
Everything
that's
is
probably
what you
enlightenment to
think.
those people. I mean, it's enlightening if you can get through to them. I don't know.
Yeah, sometimes you can't get through to people because sometimes, unfortunately, people are ignorant and they want to stay that way. But there are some people who actually want to learn and find
Yeah.
out about things.
Yeah, those people that want to learn.
Yeah. Oh, well, primping ain't easy. Just said something. Oh, what happened to her comment? I'm waiting for it to come up. But she says that we definitely need to be educated. And I think that a lot of times we look at something, we make assumptions. I think it starts probably sometimes in our childhood. You know, when you're born, by this time you should be doing this. We put expectations on people from childhood. You know, by the time you get to be this age, this is what you should be doing. And I don't think it's really fair to put people in a box, anybody in general, because every person is different. Every person doesn't want to do the same things. Some people move faster or slower than others. You have to just let a person just be
You can't be
themselves.
judgmental. That's the thing. You should not be
Yeah.
judgmental. You should not be judgmental. Like a lot of times people say, "Oh, that person's a B. That person's a eh." I'm like, "You don't even know that person."
Hmm.
Like a lot of people, well, that person's say a bad word, and that person's and I'm like, I don't know. You didn't walk in that person's shoes. You don't know the whole picture. So many times I give people the benefit of the doubt. I'm like, I don't
Right.
know their whole thing, their whole story.
Right. I will say with my sister, like people will look at her, and like I said, looking at her, you can't see her mental retardation. But like when it gets to things like how to use money, certain things, that's why when you can see, that's when it shows up. But people will look and they'll judge her, or they'll say something to her that's insensitive. Like imagine sometimes, like I'll give you an example, like say it's something simple for us. You go in the store, you give them $5, you know how much change to get back. But imagine her frustration. She's paying, and then she's like, "How much change?" And it's $2. And they're like, "Oh," people behind, like, "Oh, come on, hurry up! You're taking too long to count out that money." You know, I think people
I
need to
know people
learn
are.
sometimes
So,
how to just be kind to another human being. Just be kind.
I would never say anything like that because I don't know the whole picture, and
Yeah.
I always assume that I just don't know the whole story. So I'm not going to
Yeah.
make snap judgments about people.
Yeah, I think people, if they get nothing else from this live stream but to get educated, to be patient with other people, treat
But
people
don't look like they have a disability.
right, that don't look like they have a disability. That's what if you don't get anything else from this live stream, I would be happy if people would just don't judge people with face value. Get to know who somebody is through their personality, not just by their outward appearance.
Yep.
Mhm. So I thank you so much, Diana, for being here on the panel and the questions that you answered. You've let people know about visual impairments and that things aren't just the way that they seem. That they've learned that there is more to being blind than just walking with a white cane or having a seeing eye dog. It's
Mhm.
more to it than that. And you've done that for my viewers. And I appreciate that so much.
Me
Thanks
too.
for bringing that knowledge base to everyone.
Oh, thank you for what you do. It's wonderful.
Thank you, Diana. And once again, you're on Instagram. You're on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube, correct?
Yes, in Facebook, I'm on. My name is Diana Art, and but on YouTube and Instagram, I'm Artfully Blind with Diana. But and I have an email address is on my about page of my YouTube channel. But I prefer if
Right.
somebody says, if they do want to try to contact me, that they put in the subject line that they saw this in a live stream, because I might not open all emails, because there is a small risk factor of opening emails that you don't know.
Right, because you don't want to just open emails that you could get a virus on your computer.
Yeah, that's a smaller percentage than you clicking on a link. I definitely do not click on links of emails that I do not know about. But I recently found out from a friend of mine that his girlfriend's employer, they get strikes if they open emails they don't know. And I'm like, I didn't know that. I thought opening an email is okay. I thought it was just clicking on a link, but no, it's a smaller percentage, but it still could be a problem, and it could be even growing. It could be a growing problem.
Right, it could be a growing problem. So thank you for the knowledge base that you brought to my audience. I'm sure everybody has enjoyed this discussion just like I have. Thank you so much for being on my panel. I appreciate what you do in the visual impairment community. And also, thank you so much for continuing to go. You're showing everybody in the on YouTube and in general in life, those whatever struggle, whatever disability, whatever thing that you can go through, that you can overcome and achieve and live a normal life. So thank you for being an inspiration to others, Diana.
All right, thank you, Marlene.
No problem.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye. So I thank everybody for being a part of this discussion today with Artfully Blind with Diana. I've enjoyed it. Thanks everybody who came and listened. I hope you got a little knowledge, and now you know a little bit more about visual impairments. And so when you see somebody with a visual impairment or a disability, learn to be kinder to people. Take your time with them. Be patient. Find out about things instead of passing judgments. How would you feel if the shoe was on the other foot? It's so much nicer to be kind to another individual, to display love and patience, just like you would want to receive if it was you. So if that was accomplished with this stream, then I'm very happy, because I want to teach others, respect other people, not just yourself. So thank you very much, everybody who was in the comment section. Miss Full Roller, Primping It Easy, Rico, You Can Talk Your Way to Healthier Relationships, Boss Life Online. And did I miss anyone? I think Egan was here. and anybody else that I missed, and also to my co-host, Artfully Blind with Diana. Thank you for being a part of the discussion. I appreciate you so much for being here and for all your knowledge that you express to everybody. Thank you, everybody. I will see you guys next week. Next week, Sunday, I'm going to do something a little bit different on the Sunday talk show. I'm going to open up the discussion, and it's going to be about infertility issues. I'm going to open it up so all the women you can come up on the panel. You can talk about infertility struggles. I'm also going to share a little bit of my miscarriage struggle. So it's going to be something to encourage and boost others who have been through the same similar things to get some encouragement. So I thank everybody for being here, and continue to be encouraged. Keep your head up, stay motivated, and never give up. Never, ever give up. I'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye, guys.
Be encouraged, be inspired, be yourself.